Beautiful bouquet of palette knives. They are a mess. Some of these are my mama's, so they'll just disintegrate. I will never throw them away. But anyway, if you don't have a palette knife, that's okay. Or if you have plastic ones, that's fine too. But I do want to recommend that if you're going to continue to do painting and on the boxes and using spackling, I recommend you go and you find one that has the step down. These are really handy. It keeps your fingers off of the place you're working, your canvas or your box or whatever. They've got a nice, you can get the short ones or you can get the long ones, and you really kind of want a little bit of both, because when you're working on a long box, that's fine. You know, say I want to put a water line straight across. Well, that's fine. I can go like that. But what if I've got stuff already built up here and I want to do a little there? Well, these are fabulous, and you can get different sizes also. But do you see that there's a flat, short edge right there? And then there's that edge, right? So I can take it and use the short edge or even the very shortest edge to do just tiny, tiny dips of water reflection. So this is one of my favorite tools. So if you're going to go buy one, this is a good one to get, and also one with a little step. So don't get freaked out because of all the different shapes and designs or anything like that. Just think of what you want to do with it. And if it's, you know, the water lines, then you definitely want, you know, a long one and a short one. And you definitely want one of these with the little short. And what I do with that short part is a lot of times I will take it, dip it in black, and that will be my railing. I will go like that, and I'll show you when we're doing it, and then I will dip it again and go a rail there, rail there, rail there. Just so much easier than trying to do it with your hands where you're going to go, you know, shaky. So there's that. Are there any questions about palette knives? Oh, thank you. I'll get my face right over there. Sorry. Anyway, I'll bring this other one over because this, maybe I should bring you to it. Let's see. Okay. I don't know if anyone's going to be doing this one. Uh-oh. Swipe to close. Okay. So that one you can see has a simplified lighthouse and just brown. It can be rock, it could be anything. I didn't do a lot of detail on it, and I just put a few birds. And then on the second level of the sign, I just made big waves in like a progression coming towards the beach. And then on the third, I did one that kind of looks like one of my mom's little driftwoods. She was so much better at driftwood and beaches than I'll ever be, but oops, no negativity, sorry. I'm not where she was yet, so how's that? Anyway, but you know, any one of those could be a box lid. So, or you can use what I'm going to be doing off of, and that's this. And already you can see, if you get up close to this, that spackling kind of peeks out through the resin, which is fine because the resin is still poured over the top. Now, I don't want to lose anybody because I mentioned resin. You don't have to resin your treasure box. You can simply liquid glass or use a pouring medium. So it's the same thing, and we'll be doing that too. So you don't have to worry about resin. But if you want to, sweet, that's cool. Okay, did everybody get a break? I hope. Let me get rid of all these knives. I won't be using those yet, if at all. If you don't have a spatula and you need to form something, I use these cheap flat brushes. Let me see if I can find one. Where are all my stuff? My brushes. Hold on. These. They are great for like laying at the side and just kind of patting up your spackling. Also just kind of over the top. You can get it a little damp and then wipe it off with a paper towel. So it just still retains just the moisture in that, but you're not dripping water on your spackling. And then just pat it up. These are great for that. So you don't need the knives right now, I'm just saying. So I'm going to use that big brush though when I begin to do my background. I hope, is everybody back? Oh, sweet. All right, so the first thing you're going to decide is day or light, and day or night, and then you're going to decide what color you want your treasure box, the overall feeling you get from that color. A lot of times if you use purples, reds, blacks, things like that, it's romantic or it's mystical or whatever. You could have that type of a feeling. You could do summer like this one where it's like a sunrise or a sunset and softer colors, or you could just be really bold and do your black and whites. You can use metallics as highlights, like a summer one, and then instead of white you could use gold and white, which would be really pretty. So, but the first thing we're going to do is we're going to think of the law of the thirds, okay? And if you want your lighthouse far away, then go ahead and take it up to this top one, and that would be your water line. You won't have any room for the clouds, but you will have a lighthouse in the front and a water line kind of going behind it, which would be nice. If you don't want to go that high, take it down just a little bit and go across. All right? And one of the easiest ways I know is to put a piece of tape. So if you have tape, that would be great. If you don't, you can just go ahead with your white, blue, whatever colors you've decided is what you're going to do, and just start coming across on your sky. Okay? So let's go ahead and do that. Let me not use tape in case somebody else doesn't have tape. So I'm going to get a little palette, which is just this styrofoam. Okay, and my box has gesso on it. You can put gesso on it or you don't have to. I like to put gesso on them because I usually end up putting resin over them and it seems to give it a better hold. And it seals it from all the extra bubbles in the hardwood or the unfinished wood. So what I like to do is just put white. I'm going with a lighter color. So this is just a unicorn spit, and it works just like your acrylics, except it doesn't have the polymer in it. And I did want to say, when you start doing like pours, I found that in my unicorn spit, if I don't have a bonding in there, like a bonding chemical, it doesn't have any polymer of itself, okay? So what happens is, if you have a liquid glass or a pouring medium, and you can put your dry pigments or your unicorn spit in that has that bonding, and it ends up making a little honeycomb shape. Looked under a microscope is what you'd see with that polymer, and that's all acrylics have, that bonding. So when you do a pour and it dries, all of those chemicals, those little molecules, those polymer molecules, start hanging onto each other, and they make a honeycomb, and it holds it onto your canvas. Okay, so without enough of that acrylic polymer chemical in there. This is here, and there's a piece of pigment in the middle, and when the water dries, it's just not enough to get them together to make that honeycomb shape. And then your painting will flake off, or it won't last, or it'll crack. So remember, if you're going to use your gel stains for pours, use a liquid glass or some sort of bonding like the pouring medium to mix in it so it'll last. Also, the other reason it cracks when you're doing a pour, and I just learned this, it's very exciting, because when you do a pour, it's actually beautiful, and then all of a sudden your gloss dries and you have these fine cracks. Well, it's not hideous, but it's not what you wanted. Those come from too much water. So if you can keep with the 30% water rule, no more than 30% as you're mixing compared to what you're mixing it into, you will be fine. It will not be cracking. So those are two things that I've learned, and I hope that helps anybody. Which comment? Jim. Oh, cool. I'll have to check it out. Thanks, Jim. Okay, so I'm just putting the white unicorn spit. Let's go ahead and start painting, guys. We've stalled long enough. So I like putting white on the top of my seascapes because then my clouds just kind of glide in. So it's real thin, it's not real thick. You can be using acrylics or unicorn spit, whatever you want. You can use oils if that's what you're working with. Just add a little bit here and there. And in my head, I kind of know that my water is going to be about right there. That's just what I'm thinking. It looks like half, but it's just a little bit over half, I think. Because I want to put some beach. I like putting sand, I like the spackling, and I love these cliffs that we're going to spackle in. So I want to give enough room that I can add all of those fun details. So that's what I'm thinking. Get started painting and then veer off and make it your own, I think is pretty cool. I don't know why I put blue on my palette. That's scary, so I don't want to keep away from that for right now. I'm just going to go with some bright yellow, and I'm putting it right there in the middle. And I'm just going to throw some white on the sides. And I will go over this a gazillion times, so if it's like shocking, don't panic. I don't know what your guys' is looking like, but this is bright. This is going to be a happy little box. Fire coral and purples. Ooh, my gosh, that sounds gorgeous, Medita. Yes, girl. I don't know if you're a girl, but anyway, yeah. So the first thing I did was put yellow. So I really don't want to put blue as my water because it'll go green. However, I might go ahead and just do like the greeny type of water. That might be kind of cool. And in my head, I want to do kind of a 3D box. So what I'm doing is I'm carrying, here's the bottom of the box. Okay, so I'm just going to carry this down the side a little bit. So it's the same color. I'm not sure what I'm going to do, like all the way around it. But I know for right now, since I want to leave it open-ended, that I want to bring some of that color down, just in case. It's really fun when you can look all the way around the box and see different paintings on each side. So anyway, I just thought maybe that might be fun to do. I'm just dry brushing this basically in. A little bit on the back. Don't forget the back. And make sure when you're doing your boxes that, like right now, I've got this backwards. This is actually the front of the bottom of the box, and you can tell by the hinge marks that this is the back. That's not good, because look what I just did. I brought that sun down over the side, but that is how the box is supposed to be. Isn't that sad? It's okay. And I'm kind of glad it happened because I can show you how to fix that. All right, so that is why I'm always saying make sure your orientation of your box is right. Oh my. All right, so easy fix, just do it again. Come down over the side. Stuff happens, especially in this studio. Okay, we got sunshine again. And don't worry about the yellow on the here. It's just going to be sand anyway. It'll be fine. Okay, we got sunshine again. And don't worry about the yellow on the here. It's just going to be sand anyway. It'll be fine. Happy little accident. Absolutely, Shannon. Thanks. Add a little orange. So sometime, thanks for sharing, Randall. I appreciate that. He's supposed to be working today, I think. Anyway, sometime, I was going to say something. Well, can't remember. It'll come back to me. Okay, and some orange. Wowza. Perhaps a little white. Isn't that fun? So here's the problem I have with designing the boxes. This is what I've run into. If you get an idea, let me know, because I'm always looking for ideas. So here you are, you're looking at the front top box, and you're seeing the sunset or sunrise. Now, the box goes like this, and you're looking at not the front, but the side. So which way do you carry this? Do you carry it down? You know what I'm saying? The clouds? Or do you suddenly change direction and go like that? And then you can make a painting on this side if you need to. Because it looks kind of weird to stop and go directly like this, but it also looks weird from this side to come down like this. So that's my problem. So I guess you can just figure that out on your own, depending on what you're doing on your box. Something to think about. Okay, so once you get kind of the idea of your sky, I like to rinse out my brush really, really well and dry it, and then just kind of slide it back over there again with a little bit of white on it. It kind of helps blend and mute it a little bit. You don't have to do it all the way across. You don't have to do it at all. But I kind of like the way it looks, so I just like to take it across like it's kind of highlighted in some areas, you know, not all the way. Okay, and adding some more white right in the center. And if you blend it into what you've just got, if it was white, then you've got almost a sun looking, I don't know if you can see it, kind of hard. Anyway, I'm still on sky. So am I. I'm still on sky too. And the cool thing is we'll go back and forth between water and sky. It's never really over. If you want to keep messing with it, you can always go back. I'm just trying to get a little bit more of the white right in the center of that. So what I'm going to use is not the unicorn spit. I'm going to go ahead and use an acrylic. If I can find one. But I'm going to mix it into my unicorn spit because I don't want it really thick and it's a heavy body. If you've never painted before, the heavy body paints are really nice for when you are building something up there. They won't blend in. Like say you've got a blue wave and you want it crashing. As long as that's dry, you can put your heavy body white on top and pull it down over like with a fan brush, and it'll be gorgeous. It won't blend into your background blue. So it also stands up a little bit because it is heavy. So that's a good thing if you ever want to find something like that. Okay, so I've got some on my brush, just some heavy body white, and then I dipped it back into my unicorn spit. If you have any unicorn spit, it's a great combination with your acrylics. And I'm just kind of fading and patting around the outside of that to kind of just get the idea that there's much lighter light in the center. I'm not sure if that's going to stay or not. A lot of times I do all this and then at the end I go over it with something else. But in my head right now, that's where we're going. So, and I've decided on the side, I'm just going to go ahead and white it out for now. Just a little bit more. Take your time on the sky. There's no hurry in this painting. Okay, so I am already down to 1/3 on the lower section, and I was supposed to have my water line up here. So you can see, like, my planning, this is how my box is going to be. All of a sudden, nope, it's not. Now, I can take this and I can go back up. I can bring my water line back up. I can move my sun around. And now's a good time to do it if I'm going to do it. But I don't think I am. So I think my water line's going to be low. And I'll just throw in a couple birds at the top and just see what happens. Because I kind of like the balance of it. I really love this color of what's going on. A lot of sky, but that's okay. And I can build my cliff back up here and still have a water line that goes around, you know, there. So I think that'll be fine, she says. Down, all the way down to under your beach. Okay? And the underpainting, you're going to want either, depending on what colors you're using. I wish I could see your stuff, y'all. This is hard. So what I'm going to do, let me just tell you what I'm going to do, is I'm going to use a little bit of black, always a little bit of black for an underpainting. That's just how I like to do it. I also like to use a reddish brown of some sort. If you're using acrylics, they, let's see, that burnt sienna, any of those would be a good underpainting. If you don't have that, put a little bit of yellow in that. And what you just want a kind of a mossy color with more black for your sand. Okay, now if you're doing a really light white blue water, you may not want to go that extreme, but you still want an underpainting because you're going to put darker shadows in and that will bring that out later. So okay, let's go ahead and mix up some of the dark stuff. And you can do whatever I'm doing, or you can do your own thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of black. You can have acrylics or your unicorn spit. So I've got black. And I'm going to add yellow. I'm just setting them side by side on my little palette. How's everybody doing? You need a break yet? Hey, Kentucky. How's your sky? Are you detailing the fire out of it? Okay. All right, so I've got some black, some reddish brown, and some yellow, and it just kind of looks baby poopish. Okay? Perfect. Absolutely perfect. I'm going to take that, and I'm just going to go from the bottom across. Look at all the colors. Isn't that cool? That's just black, brown, and yellow. Don't worry about what it really looks like right now, y'all. It's going to be covered up. You're not even going to see it. Well, most of it. I really kind of like the idea of going more of the greens on the water this time, which I don't usually do a lot of. Isn't that cool? Now, as you get to the top, if you're using one of these flat brushes, you can kind of see how watery it is. Get it nice and watery and make your own little patterns of waves just by brushing back and forth. I'm just playing on this box because this is probably going to be covered up anyway. But man, I really kind of like that color for the ocean. I could just add gold and call it good. Seriously, I think it's pretty. See, these are the things that you just don't expect. Now, I see that this is up on this side and this is way down, so I'm going to have to fix that because that's not supposed to happen. All right, so I'm going to wash this brush out really good, dry it off, and then just push that yellow down a little bit. But I might have a cliff over here anyway, so it may not be a problem. We'll see. I'd kind of like to have mistakes and then fix those mistakes right here with you guys because mistakes happen, at least in my studio. They happen a lot. And part of painting is getting out of the trouble you just got yourself into. And it happens all the time in every painting. So, but that's part of the fun. It's like a puzzle, you know? And you're doing it to yourself. All right, I'm dipping it right back into the white a little bit, maybe a little orangey, I don't know. And just, okay, so my went up too high on this side, you see. So I just push it back down with some white. Doesn't matter if you can still see parts of it or not for right now. There's going to be so much going on and adding the rocks and everything. So, but you can see, you can move the water around. It's okay. It's going to be all right. And if you can't, then that's where your cliff goes. That's how it works, folks. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Shannon. Okay. A little bit more. Push it down. Ooh, I really like that. It's fun. Just using different techniques with your brush, and I don't mean techniques like you went and learned it. You can, that's great. I don't have any of that. But just different styles of what you're doing with your brush. Let's see, different pressure, different angles, different brushes, just playing with them and learning your brush. And sometimes a brush is supposed to be used for one thing and you find actually it works best for something else. That's what I do. So I just got something, or it was already in here, I'm not sure. But there is a line. I'm not sure if you can see it. You see it? That black mark, it looks like ink or something. So clearly I have a bird coming that is probably going to end up over here somewhere. So I just threw some more yellow in. It just looked a little too boring. So that was fun. Just going back and forth over it. You know, don't be afraid to mess it up because you can always go over it. And most of the time, what I've found is I like the second thing better, so it's kind of cool that way. Okay, back to some whites. I kind of like how that white just kind of stood out. I might leave that alone for a little bit. Sometimes I get in a hurry, you know, when you're painting, you're trying to get things done. I don't know why. But, and I'll move my brush around so fast that when I get to the spot, I've already ruined it before I realize, oh, that was cool looking. So, you know, it's important to take a step back every once in a while and look at what you're doing. This is probably not the easiest brush to work with on this, but I'm trying to do with just a minimal amount of tools, because a lot of times that's how people have to start, you know? So I like doing it like that. It makes you get creative. I'm still just pushing that water line down a little bit more. I'm going to add some white to it and fade it out. Yeah, this is definitely going to be a golden sunset, I think. And you can see it just start coming together, and I'm still going up too high on the ends. I think it's because I'm painting sideways. I have to put it down. So, okay. Oh, that's all right. I'll put some cliffs on both sides. I don't know. Okay. Put some white. Push it back down. That'll work. Thank you, Randall. I told my sis today that I don't know why, but I felt really nervous this time, and I guess because it's just a different thing. It's actually from start to finish, and I'm hoping that people will follow along and feel like they're not getting, you know, run over. Like I'm patient with them and slow enough. I'm just going down the side of the box again because I'm still not sure what I'm doing with it. So every once in a while I just throw some paint on it till something pops into my head. Going real light though, so if something pops in, I can always change it. So that's a fair start. Now, if you think about it, where are our lighthouses? Just picture, if you will, a cliff, and then putting this up there somehow once it's shaved and fixed. Won't that be cool? Maybe even in here. The nice thing about this, I just realized, is you can move it around and decide where you want your lighthouse. You really don't want it dead center. That's usually a no-no for art. So, you know, a third, maybe. But you know what? If you want it dead center, it's yours. You do whatever you want, sweetie. All right, rinse out the brushes. It's time for a break. We're going to sit and talk for just a second and not paint. You guys keep painting while I talk if you want. Oh, Anita, that is so cool. I appreciate your instruction. This is really fun and I'm learning things. I am so happy that you made my day because that is what I wanted. That's perfect. There has just been so much joy brought to me and others because you get to bless others with your art. Okay, admittedly, in the beginning it may not have been a blessing, and even now sometimes. Still, there's nothing better than a handmade with love gift, right? And how cool are these to make something that special for someone? You know, I absolutely love it. I love sharing. Okay, guys, we get a question for a second. Hey, Shannon, are you... Okay, am I supposed to have a line between my sky and my water? No, not necessarily. What I did, user, are you Sherry? Is that who's asking? Kentucky? Just take your wide brush or finger, whatever you want, and put white on it, and that will be the line that blends between your sky and your water. And then you'll just go back and forth, kind of up onto your sky, then back down onto your water with just that white, and it will just blend itself. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can also have like really sharper lines and then blend into nothing along the way. It's actually more natural looking that way because of the sun, the reflection, even the moon and reflection. So just a little bit of white on your brush like that in between your sky and your water will be perfect. And you can brush it back and forth if you don't like something that you saw happen. But that was a great question. Thank you for asking. Okay, guys, 5-minute break, and I'll be right back. This is what you're going to be seeing in the summer kind. Put a thumbs up if you are. And if you're doing the welcome, if you're doing maybe one of these, you could put either the waves or blue lighthouse or something like that. Horizon, you're doing a horizon. Cool. That's awesome. I'm excited. I am so excited. We'll get started on the spackling. This will be fun. I'm going to add a few more clouds, and I want to put some, I'm going to go golden. So just by looking at this, it made me feel like I definitely want golden waves, and this will be like a golden box. Oh. I'm loving that thought. You can tell. Okay. I don't even have any idea what I'm going to do on the inside. I'm not even going to think that far ahead, I don't think. So, okay, so what we should do now, is everybody ready to play with spackling yet? Or do you want to keep messing with the water for a little while, or the clouds? You can put birds in now, but I would recommend putting the birds in at the very last. That's just usually what I do because that helps me balance the box. So if I put the birds in now, say I have, there's always like 1, 3, or 5. That's my rule. I don't know. It's just a better balance. So say I want my lighthouse over here. So I would probably have one bird around, maybe on the other side of my lighthouse, kind of, and then maybe 2 flying here, but not like incoming airplanes or anything, just, randomly. But it's better, I think, if we put the spackling on first and our lighthouse and position it, and then we'll know for sure where we need our birds. And maybe you'll want one, because maybe you'll want to build it up like it's really in the foreground with spackling. That would be a cool thing. So I don't know what you're going to do. I'm excited. All right. Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and work a little bit more on the water. So what I want is you're going to take the darkest color you've got in your water sand area and do it again. You're going to go from, let's see, I think we just go ahead and go a little bit with a flat square brush again with some very dark. This farthest line is fading, okay? So you want to take that ahead maybe an inch or so closer to you. The closer you get to you, the deeper the shade for the higher the wave. All right, so if I put, I'm just randomly going to put a big black thing right there. All right, that already in my mind looks like the inside curl of the wave. I don't know what it looks like to you. Looks like a big black line in the middle of my beautiful box. All right, so the closer you get, the bigger that gets until, you know, it crashes. The lines back behind that is going to be closer together. The farther they get back to the horizon, the closer together those lines get, and the thinner, okay? They get thinner, they get closer together, and then as they come towards you, they get farther apart, right? Because they're building up these waves. Don't be afraid. It's okay. You can always go over it again. Okay, I'm going up again. I gotta turn my box around. This is gonna be one mega wave right there, I'll tell you what. That's all right, I'll do it. Let's do a mega wave. Let's build it up. Look how fun that is. Just with the edge of the brush, just sliding it along the side. If you've got it facing down, if you push it like this, it'll be pushing towards your beach. If you turn it around, it'll be pushing into your sky. So if you're thinking, okay, I'm up too high, then don't push this way, okay? Bring it down like that. And work down towards your beach. That does not look like an ocean, but that's okay. It will. I'm just doing it again at the very edge of this brush. Making little tiny lines. Close together in the very far background. Nice and tiny. And then as they get closer to us, they get bigger and deeper. And that's just waves in general. We're going to have a lot of sand stuff and cliffs and all that, but that's basically it in general. Light, close, fine lines, farthest away. The closer it comes to you, the farther away those lines get to each other and the deeper they get. And that builds your up-close waves. Hey, Sierra. Oh, thank you. And thank you, Shannon. You guys are great. All right, so that is looking pretty cool. You know, if you never did anything but that, and then put some sand down here, and put some liquid glass over it, I think that's so pretty and peaceful. Isn't that neat? And what a beautiful gift. Okay. All right, I think I've messed enough with that. I want to add a little darker in here. It might mess up the sky. Mess up. Temporarily. But I'm curious. So I want to see. So I'm just going to turn my box upside down for a second and tap along the top here and there with some grays. And then I'll put some yellow under that. I mean, maybe there's a storm coming, or maybe it just passed. Let's get some more white. And some pretty colors. And push it into it. Clouds are random. This brush is not the one I need to be using. If you're going to work on clouds, I recommend once you do your lines, something more round. That seems to work best. This is not a good brush though. It's time to restock my brushes, sadly. I have favorites and I just wear them out. So, all right, back into the color and some white. Because I don't want it to look muddy, you know, but I wanted just a little bit something up there going on. Work a little bit more, just back and forth. We're going to switch down to doing our spackling in just a few minutes, a couple minutes. Just trying to add some more definition, layer upon layer. Like maybe these are some dark ones that are, you know, back a ways, and then I'll put some white in front so the storm is passing. Still different brush. If you know, you just do what I'm doing. If you don't know what brush to use, that's what I do. Oh, like just keep using brushes till you find one that actually, oh yeah, it's a cloud brush. Perfect. Because everybody uses their brush different anyway. I mean, I scrub my stuff and you're not supposed to do that, you know, like this. You're not supposed to do that. But it's my brush. This brush leaves hairs. I guess that's what I'm going to have to buy next, is a good brush. Okay, let me get the hairs out. If you're trying to get brush hair out, the best way to do it, I mean, if you paint long enough, you're going to, right? So you can see these little brush hairs in there, right there. Just take the end of your bristles and just push it around and it'll eventually pick them up. Eventually. There goes some. Things like these. But hey, you should be happy you find them before you seal it and then find it. That's devastating. And I know everybody out there, if you've ever done painting before, you've done that. Okay, so I say, okay, there it is. All right, yay. One more. All right, back to this. All right, fixing to do spackling shortly. Just for fun. A little bit more white. I got tired of playing with it, so I thought just load up the color and then I'll fade it out later to white. And just keep going back over it until you like it. That's all I can say. When you're satisfied, then that's perfect. You can keep laying the side of your brush down and go down towards your water line. Keep blending in whites on top of color. Okay, now I've got it all basically one color, which I really don't like. I mean, there's lots of different variations in there, but that's okay. I'm going to stop right there for now on the sky, and we're going to start using some spackling. Are you ready? You can get rid of their stuff if you want, your palette. It adds more definition to the piece. That's how I am with bubbles in my resin, Ciaran. It's like, oh, bubbles, more character. So we're at the very last half of our paint party right now. How is everybody doing? I'm wondering if Kentucky is still in the house, or has she walked out? Could go either way. Thank you guys for the love today, the likes, the hearts, and all. I appreciate it, all the shares and follows. You guys are the best art tribe ever. All right, so let's go ahead, open up our spackling. Here we go. You can put gloves on if you want. You can use a palette knife. You can use a craft stick or your fingers, doesn't matter. I've got two kinds of spackling. I've got the super ultra light, and that is like the powdery kind. It's really great for a large canvas because it won't weigh it down as much. And then we've got the regular light, but it's very gummy, and that's what we're going to be using. Or you can use whatever you want. You can use epoxy sculpt or anything, but the spackling is really fun to play with. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a knife. If you have a plastic knife or anything like this, I found these at these knives at the Dollar Tree. They even started carrying palette knives, so I'm like, yay! Anyway, so if you're looking for a knife, you can always do that. Okay, I'm going to mix just a glob of this spackling. I'm going to keep it raw. I'm not going to paint it yet. But you can, if you want to, daub a little bit of acrylic, put it on your palette, squish it around until you've got those colors mixed in. You can do that and it will still set, but it'll take a little longer to set. But I'm going to use it just like this. And I'm not sure where I want my lighthouse. I'm not putting the lighthouse on. I'm putting the rock that the lighthouse is sitting on. That's what this lovely mess is. So I'm going to put a cliff right there, right on top. Okay, my box is really dry, so I'm going to dip my palette knife and get this wet and flip it over so it makes sure that it sticks onto this. And then you can always build it back up, but it's hard to take it back down. So I would say start lower than you think you want and work up from there. And I'm just smushing it on top of my water. Make sure it's getting stuck down to the box. You can do this with your thumb. You don't have to use a knife. But it's messy, so I'm going to use a knife for now. And then you can take like either a popsicle stick or your palette knife or whatever and kind of start pushing it down however you want your cliff. I always think, you know, if they've got a lighthouse, then somebody has to get to that lighthouse, right? So either I want to make a path up to it, that would be kind of cool, or at least I want to make it nice and flat where somebody may be coming in from this end. Somehow they have to get to that lighthouse, and I need to make sure in my paintings that I have given it that path. I don't know why. It's just the story that evolves in my head. So you may not be like that. It can just be a lighthouse on a rock and nobody ever gets to it. But who's changing the light bulb? All right? Somebody's got to. Think about it. Okay, that's pretty cool, but I definitely want it higher up than that. At least, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate this little patch. So, okay, I'm pulling this down just with my little craft stick, pushing this back up and making this section a little bit higher. Ooh, that's cool. I like that. Can be all rocky and bumpy. It should be, right? Except for where the lighthouse is going to sit. All right, cool. So there's my glob. You see it? It's my first cliff. So I'm just going to fade it down by pushing down towards the box and making it from thick up here where the lighthouse sits to thin just by pushing down and going with the edge a little bit. So you're really dragging it, making this area nice and thin. Just stuck my finger in it, but it's okay because I think it's a really good idea to pull that over with my finger. It seems to be working pretty cool. Now, the rock or whatever that is coming all the way into my beach, or water. That doesn't matter because paint will lay right on top of this spackling. So if I decide, okay, I don't want my rock way over here, I'll just paint on top of it and it'll become water, as long as it's not, you know, all bumpy. And even if it's bumpy, that's okay. You can just turn it into a wave. Okay, so I've got my first cliff. That's where my little lighthouse is going to go. Let me see if I can fix that light. Hold on. It's just so bright. I don't know, that might help, but maybe not. Anyway, so there's that. Doesn't look like much right now, but that's what art is all about. That's why I think people quit too soon, you know, and they don't give themselves a chance to see if it could have become something. So don't quit. Don't quit too soon. All right, we've got one little cliff. I want a couple rocks around that cliff just because that's what I like. So I'm just adding globs wherever I feel like it. It doesn't have to look like anything right now. That's the joy. You're just adding texture and building things up, layer upon layer. You can shape it with your little craft stick if you want, or your fingers. It's fun to play in. You don't have a lot of time, especially with that ultralight. So, you know, you kind of want to work a little fast on some areas. But if it starts getting hard and you really want to work on that area, just scrape that off, add some fresh so you don't get frustrated. It's cheap. Okay, I need to look at this for a second, figure out what's going on. Okay, so I've got my lighthouse one. Something that makes the box look more real is to make sure that where that lighthouse is, that water can come up with a little bit of foam or something underneath right where the rock hits the water. So the lighthouse is going to be up here somewhere. Probably have to shorten this puppy because that's awful big now. And it's way off there. So I want to build this rock up farther. I want it over here a little bit more. Okay. But you're seeing how it's starting to come together. Glob. Siren. That's right. I use all the technical terms. So it is. It's starting to come together. It's just a slow process. And you know, your beach can be all rocks. You could just glob up a bunch of spackling and it can be rock after rock. It would look really cool. You can start using your gel and stuff and come over those rocks with a wave. We can do that together. Right now we're just kind of globbing on some land features. I'm just going to go off the edge with some of my spackling, all of that, I think. So right now what I've got is a very unbalanced painting because all of my rock is on the left side. And that's okay. I'm just smushing it down into the beach. Just depends on what you want your beach to look like. It could be rocky or it might not be rocky at all. I'm just scraping off some of that rock stuff, that spackling I don't want. The edge of this. I gotta wash my hands. It does dry quick, Sierra, especially the powdery kind. But it's still easier to work with than epoxy sculpt. However, epoxy sculpt is the most durable texturing and sculpt thing I've found. It's fabulous. You can use it outside for things that are going to stay outside even in the winter, and it's going to hold up. I mean, what kind of stuff? What is this magic? Okay, all this in here, I'm going to end up making little rocks and stuff like that. So I'm just jabbing at it. And I'm just seeing what happens when I poke at it. Sometimes it will give me ideas. Like right now it looks like there could be some waves, you know, coming up right there. So I'm just going to dig some more out. I'm still not really happy with it. You'll be surprised, like right now it just looks messy and doesn't look like much. But you'll be surprised when you start getting the paint on there and the colors and how it grabs into that spackling is just amazing. I'll blend this out a little bit. Definitely a finger painter. Anything available, I will use it. Doesn't matter. Doesn't have to be art supplies. Okay, I'm kind of liking what I see. I just almost want to bring another glob right here and put the lighthouse right here, but like way far back. But I'm just not sure what to do with that. How are you guys doing? Poke it, girl. How are your pieces? How's the spackling going? I have definitely got to get a new paper towel. Hold on. I'm gonna stuff all over me. Until it's paint party, I'm wearing half of it. All right. Okay, so I'm going to leave that as rocks right now, just like that. And I'm really beginning to think that instead of putting the lighthouse here-ish, which looks nice, but it's awful tall, I might put a rock right there and put the lighthouse right there. I think I'm going to. We'll see. Oh, add another rock. What the heck? I want something over there anyway. Ooh, this is the lightweight. Let me try the lightweight over here and see what happens. I put the wrong lid on it. So, okay. Add a little bit of dab of water. It'll soak through. This is that ultralight. It's kind of a pain. That's also pretty cool. Okay, that one I like better. I'm lost in this, y'all. I hope you're enjoying your painting time. Thank you so much for the likes, you guys. Appreciate it. All right, so we've globbed on another chunk of rock on that side now. Looks like icebergs. Switch these lids. No wonder I'm confused. Okay, hold on. And I definitely like that idea of the lighthouse coming up over here. I don't know why, it just felt better to me. So those are things we get to discover while we paint. And I'm going to dip my lighthouse, my prefabricated lighthouse, into a little bit of the wet spackling, and then right onto this rock. So what I will do is I'll just lay it on that rock where it gets a little bit wet. And then up on top it goes. Admittedly, it doesn't look like much of a lighthouse right now, but it will. It's pretty tall. I might have to take it down or just go ahead and add, like this up here is going to be like a walkway. So it makes sense. It kind of bulks it out a little bit more. I might add some more at the base. I don't know. Don't know. It's all a mystery. But I know one thing, you do want to make sure that it's straight up and down. Not really anything you can do about that except keep adding more width to the side that is not even. But remember, this is a box. You know, it's a treasure box, it's painting, it's not a photograph. And a lot of times I think we look at something and think, oh, that doesn't look real, that doesn't, you know, but it's the idea, it's the feelings that you get from it. Like, to me, even right now, it's like, I want to be there, you know? So there's a lot that goes into it, that it's not always about what it looks like, it's how it makes you feel. I'm just patting this down a little bit more. I will probably end up adding more rock than I have, but for right now, it's a good start. And it's okay that they're bumpy and it's got lines everywhere. That's okay. Because when you drop paint on that, all of those little crevices is going to absorb some paints, and it'll give you like this automatic shading and highs and lows. It's just so cool. So, all right, so there's that. Make sure that's flat. How you guys doing? Well, user 4729036. I will definitely download this live and I will put it on the YouTube. I'll probably have to break it up in a couple sections, but I'll put it on the YouTube channel, which is under Cape Charles Art. That's me. So that way you can go back and rewatch segments of it. You don't have to watch it all. So I will definitely do that. And thank you very much for asking or saying. Okay, so you can see that normally, like when I first started, here's my water line way back here. So this rock is higher than the water line, and then it keeps going, and the water line is still under this rock. So that's good, right? It could be up here if it was a different view, you know, a different perspective from the beach. But for right now, I think the water line being right here is probably good. I do have a little piece of spackling that jumped up onto my sunset, so you want to get that off. If you have any jumpers, you want to get it off early. If you don't and it dries to it, you could sand it off, but you're going to ruin your painting underneath. So what I end up doing, if there's just a little tiny oddity that happens, one little piece of spackling, that usually becomes the bird body. You adjust. Learn to adjust. All right. All right, let's go ahead and put some, if you're ready. Hey, Daisy. How do I add the epoxy over it? You just put some mask, some liquid mask around these edges twice, and then you tape it up with frog tape, the green frog tape, and you build that dam up a little bit. So you want your frog tape ledge, depending on how high your resin, you want your resin, you build that frog tape up that ledge a little bit. Usually 1/8 of an inch is what I give myself. And then I pour it after it's all sealed and totally dry. I spray it. Then I pour my resin. If you're afraid it's going to seep down around the edges, and it does, the best way to do it is just to drop a little line of resin right up next to your tape all along the edge. And then wait. Wait till that fully seals, and then go ahead and pour your deep pour. And usually what happens, you will pour over all of your lighthouse and all of your rock, all of your rock and everything. And then, so that part will be sealed, and then it holds it down to your box. So everything is sealed. Even if this is raised up past the majority part of the resin, it still is covered with a layer of resin when you just pour it like that. I hope that helps. Thank you very much. I do put tape around it, frog tape, but even then it will break the dam when that resin gets hot, starts heating up. It will break the dam of the frog tape and drip down. And on these boxes, it's so hard to get that resin drips off. So I try to do it slow and just do just the edge when it's frog taped first, and then do my pour once that tape is sealed all the way around. You don't have to worry about the dam breaking. So, but sometimes I get in a hurry and I just don't, and I think, well, okay, I'll sand it if I have to, and I do. So make sure that's straight again. My tower is leaning. My lighthouse is leaning. All right, so check your lighthouses. Make sure they're not leaning. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and dry some of this spackling a little bit, just for the sake of teaching. Just really light on the low setting for a heat gun. The frustration comes a lot of times when you're doing the spackling, because you're trying to work with it when it's still just a little too wet. So, you know, because you're excited about putting in rocks and waves and things like that, but if it's too wet, it's just going to keep moving around on you, and it's going to be a frustration. So be patient, give it time, go back and work on some clouds or put some birds in. Maybe you can work on some of your deeper waves out here that's maybe crashing over this lighthouse rock. That might be kind of cool. Just start planning in your mind, you know, what you want that rock or box to look like. Aw, thank you, Daisy. I appreciate that. It's all just hit and miss and guessing. But I love it. Okay, now I'm going to grab my paints again, my palette, and I want to go back over some of the ocean. And what I'm doing is just the same edge of the brush. I'm doing the same motions back and forth, and I'm coming forward. It's going to depend on, you know, like, do I want a crashing wave right here, or do I want to wait till it gets past the lighthouse to start making a wave, or do I not want a wave? I just want some nice soft lines. I don't know. I don't know. I want my lighthouse to hold on a little bit better. It's kind of not. So I'm adding just a touch of water down the sides of my lighthouse, and when it gets down to the wood, it will help it hang on. Interestingly enough, I'm adding it with a brush I had yellow on, so it has a tint of yellow, which is actually kind of cool. That's neat. Kind of looks like the background now. Look how pretty it's going to be. Oh, I'm so excited for you guys. No, the spackling does not crack. I know that Sculpey, when I used Sculpey, the non-baking, and I let it dry forever, and I resined it, and it cracked on me. And I was devastated. So Sculpey is out. I don't play. Homie don't roll like that. So spackling is where it's at. It's either spackling or epoxy sculpt. Let me show you what that is in case you don't know. Here's the epoxy sculpt, and this is in black. It's actually epoxy, so that's why it's in two parts. So it's equal parts. You just grab a glob of one part, grab a glob of the other part. They're both different colors, so that when you start mixing them, after about 3 minutes, you shouldn't see any variation of color. It should be all one color, which would be the base color, whatever you chose, white, black, gray, whatever it is. So this can go outside even in the winter time, and it won't crack on you. You can paint it, drill it, sand it, anything. That epoxy sculpt is fabulous, and it goes under resin and it doesn't crack. So it's hard to work with for me. I'm not a sculptor. I do like to play with it, but it's a little bit harder to work with, and the working time is like, for me, it's like about a half an hour and you're done. So what I usually end up doing when I'm working with epoxy sculpt is just breaking it down into segments and doing little bits and pieces at a time. Like, let me see if I can find that. Yeah. Well, you guys are just painting on your ocean or whatever. I'll just yak it up. So the rocks here are epoxy sculpt in that dragon box. And they're under resin. So, and then also, this is my favorite. This is also all epoxy sculpt. All of the rocks, the fishermen, the fish, is all epoxy sculpt. So it's a really cool product, and you don't have to resin it. Like, see, the rocks I left are not resined, but if you want to, you can. So that turned out pretty cool. The inside. So that is what we do here on our lives. We do treasure boxes. So yeah, it's really a good product, that epoxy sculpt. It's just a little difficult to work with. Thank you. Thank you so much. So fun to do. All right, back to the water. I'm going to go with the black and gold for waves. Why not? So I'm just going to grab another flat square brush, and I've got it just tipped in the very end, and I'm just going to do the same thing I did before. I'm just going across like this, just the idea of some waves. Straight lines. Dark colors, and they get closer and closer and lighter as they go back farther and farther away. So those are pretty dark, but that's okay. I'm just establishing where my water is going to be. What I like about these square brushes is when you lay them on the edge, I just use it for everything. It's like my spatula, my paintbrush, my knife, and just brush across that spackling that you don't want there. If you want it to be water, then just brush across it with a wet side of your brush. I'm not happy with this little cliff, so I'll probably end up building it up a little bit more. Don't like the shape of it or whatever. Okay, I'm going to add some blue-ish and gold. That's going to turn green. Ooh, look how pretty that is. I'm getting ahead of myself, and I'm going to go ahead and let myself get ahead of myself. Oh, unicorn spit? Severed art? Oh, are you kidding me? Oh, I love unicorn spit. It's fabulous. I mix it with my alcohol inks and my acrylics, with spackling, unicorn spit. I just to use it as a medium, you know. It's always out. So this gold is fabulous. And I'm not going to go ahead and do my ocean yet, all of it, because clearly I have a lot of work to do. But I just want to show you guys, look how pretty. Instead of doing, now watch, I won't say it, but I was going to say watch it not work, but it will work eventually. But instead of doing like the white highlights, say you've got something like this, and you just want to touch across a little bit with gold, and then add the white on top of the gold, let it pick it up while it's still wet. Let me see if I can do it in public. These are the things you play with, you know, in the middle of the night or whatever. And you just touch it. And, you know, you can't really tell right now, but if you held it up into the light, because you're using that metallic gold, you're going to just see these sparkles. It's just beautiful. So oceans don't have to be blue. You know, you can make them any color you want. Thank you. I know, I'm so glad you use unicorn spit. Do I know I follow you, right? Follow. If I don't, I'm following you now. It won't let me. I'll do it later. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit of black in there. Same way. Real thin. I'm just using a little bit of black and water. So I've decided that's where my big waves are going to be. Bigger. I'm not sure what to make my wave out of, what colors. But I definitely enjoyed that gold. Alright, so that's that. How's everybody doing? Thank you for the likes, Shannon. So appreciate it. How is your painting, you guys? How are you doing? Is anybody stuck on an area, frustrated with anything, happy with anything? Really want to be able to somehow get a hold of your all's pictures, process pictures, and see what's going on. That would be cool. Okay, I'm just going to do some more gold. I just keep going back over gold and black, back and forth. It's all layering, little bits at a time. And then when you get enough of the layering, you're starting to see, oh wow, this looks like water, and this is happening here. I want to bring it over. That's when you really can start doing your highlights and all that. Right now, we're still just kind of blocking in where the water's going to go. Ooh, Earth Goddess. Still on sky. All right, Kentucky. I'm going back to sky shortly. I just go back and forth. Earth Goddess, I can't wait to see that. That sounds like it's right up my alley. I'm just going to go ahead and take some of this height down off of this cliff just by running my brush over it. And then as I do, I'm going to go ahead and taper from the biggest part down all the way to the wood, to the painted wood. You want it nice and flat when it gets to that edge over here. This one I was not too worried about because I'm going to build this up as rocks right here, so I don't care. But on this side, I wanted it tapered. I think it just looks nicer. My own personal choice. Rinse your brushes out if you're using them with your spackling. If you don't rinse them out, they'll just get crunchy and useless. Elemental Goddess series. I'm definitely going to have to come check you out. That sounds fabulous. Do you do lives, Sever? Just going back over it, just seeing what needs to be fixed on it. Still not sure that's not crooked, but that's okay. Okay, so this one, I really I'm beginning to enjoy this cliff better than this one actually. So. I think what would look best, if you ever get the opportunity to be able to see behind something, like I could take this big cliff and keep it going this way, and you see the water and then you see the cliff. Or I could take that rock down this cliff with a wet brush and put some water right there. So it sets this up a little bit closer to the front, sets the water behind it. Some pretty water, some gold. Just gives a little bit better dimension and perspective, I think. And then we can go ahead and put some more rocks right here if we want. But you can see that this rock is just the lighthouse rock. I'm going to bring it down even farther. I think I might even want to make a little path going up to it. So if I'm going to do that, I want to make it a little bit wider. Just patting it down with my brush, the flat part. And then pushing it back together again, keeping it strong. Add a little bit of water to your brush and then blot that water off, and your brush will still be just damp enough that you can move your spackling around. So that's getting closer. It's crazy fun, isn't it? You can always go back and add more rock. You can just keep messing with it. I have no idea what time it is or how much time we have left. But I know what I'm doing tonight. I am playing with this. So yeah, just this random thought. The squirrels ate our truck yesterday. We have been battling squirrels. I swear it's like that commercial. But we've already spent $1,000 on a truck harness, electrical harness or whatever, and ended up selling that truck, got a brand new truck. And he went in and started it, and all these lights came up on the dash. Could not believe it. Popped the trunk or the hood, and there it was. This huge palm fronds from our palm tree pulled up through there, made a huge mess. It's got, like, it chewed through that really tough felt wheel liner thing. It chewed a hole right through there. I have an action owl. It hoots and it's like motion sensor triggered. So I have that now out by my car. I'm trying to keep it from getting squirrels up underneath of it. So if there's an owl out there hooting all the time, it's like our neighbors probably think we've lost it. But I'm telling you, it's horrible, those squirrels. Zombie squirrels. They're going to be zombie squirrels. Those puppies have an expiration date on them right now. I'm sorry. I love squirrels. I even raised a couple from babies, but I'm sorry. They got to go. So, I'm going to add some gold and white because I'm just tired of looking at this boring stuff. So, doing crazy? What's happening? I want to see your picture of what's happening crazy. Oh, the squirrels are crazy. Yes. Eating the truck. Hey, guess what? I hear the ice cream truck. You know it's getting close to summer when you hear that. All my life, we grew up in like the boondocks, man. There was no ice cream trucks. What? Now I live in Virginia Beach, and it's like, oh, can you hear it? Listen. Oh, it stopped. Some kids must need something. So there's some gold shadows, highlights, whatever. Pretty. Just running along, just gold and white. Just playing in paint. Can't mess it up, just do it. If you mess it up, you can always go back and do it again. It's going to be choppy. This is a windy, choppy little bay. Here comes my story. It was a windy, choppy day. I'm sorry, y'all. Any more coffee? I'm getting there. The gold, I think, under the resin or under the liquid glass is going to be very pretty. I'm tired of looking at my boring white cliffs. So it's still pretty wet. I'm not sure if I want to put my paints on when it's wet, but let's go ahead and do one when it's wet, and then we'll do the other when it's dry, and you'll be able to see the difference. So what I'm going to do is I start with black, either acrylic or unicorn spit, and I thin it down really thin like a wash, probably way past the 30% rule, because all I'm looking for is pigment. I'm not looking for it to adhere to anything. It's just stain. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just making it really light. And I'm going to go at the base of these rocks with some very dark. And look how watery it is. It's running down. That's okay. I'm just tapping it onto the spackling right at the base of the rocks. And you can think if the sun was back here, there would definitely be shadows on these rocks. So I guess I'll do this one too, just a little bit. This is the ultralight spackling over here under the lighthouse, so it's going to react a little different. But the best way to do this is just, that's it, to do it. is the best teacher is experience. Doesn't look like much right now, but it will. Isn't that cool though? Oh, my husband. Oh, my squirrel trap is 6 stops away. Oh, that's perfect. Thank you, honey. I will make sure that I get those squirrel traps. It's about ready for our break anyway. We get one more break, I think, before we finish. At least one. Well, maybe not. It's 2 o'clock. Thank you so much, Severed Art. I really appreciate you coming in and hanging out with us, spending that much time. I will definitely check out your stuff. I'm excited to see the Earth Goddess series. Let the games begin, Shannon says, on the squirrels. Absolutely. All right, I'm going to go and see what happens when I put gold on my rocks. And like I said, y'all, I play in my paint. It's not a this I know works. It's a let's see what happens when I do this. That's how I learn, and that is what brings me the most joy. I have to have a lot of leeway, and I do. I give myself a lot of leeway as far as, you know, what works for me, that's how I do it. No one really can tell me it's wrong because they can tell me there's a better way to do it, and I will be more than happy to listen and learn. I'm always, you know, excited to learn new ideas. But as far as just hanging out, learning what happens when I add these two products together, or I use a different implement and spatula or brush or fingers, it's all part of the process of painting and learning how. You're going to learn how you do it, what makes you feel good, and what's right for you. But it's really smart to watch other people too, because you can learn a lot. I watch people all the time. When I'm looking at a product I have not used before, it's excellent because you can learn how to use it before even purchasing it, or know that you don't want it. You know, don't waste money on it. Watch somebody else for a while. Okay, I've blended in quite a bit, but you can see the difference already that happens. And that was just putting some gold on top of that rock. You're already beginning to see highlights and lowlights, and I haven't even started putting them in yet. It's just what happens when you keep adding to the process. You just keep layer upon layer, and it just begins to form on its own. That is the joy of painting. It just comes to life. So fabulous. What are you guys yakking at? Aw. Thank you so much, Mudita. Likewise, I appreciate your comments and your participation. It's been awesome. I know we'll meet again. We are kindred spirits. Just bouncing some gold off of these rocks just for fun. Because why? We don't know what it would do, so we want to try and see what it would do. Worst case scenario, scrape it off and start again. Very worst case. You really don't want to do that. Because it seems like when you do that, you hit that same spot again. You might as well just work through the spot. That's what I tell myself. because otherwise you're going to see it again. You're going to be back. Keeping this kind of light over here because my lighthouse is going to be light, so I don't really want too much of a contrast like that one. That was really pretty stark, which is okay. And I'm just touching in the different colors, browns and golds, into my spackling. And as I do that, the brush sinks in some places that is more wet, and it stands up against me on things that are dry. So it's giving me the highs and lows that I need already to make it look more like a rock. So, see, why would you not want to paint with spackling? The only reason I can think of is maybe if you've never done it before, you may never feel like you know what you're doing. That's okay. When I first started trying to do it, I did it on my bathroom wall, and I built a lighthouse and a couple birds and a cliff. The proverbial lighthouse, cliff, and birds. Yeah. Anyway, but I put it on my wall, and so when I did that, it was right by the toilet paper holder in my bathroom, and I just made it all white and left it white on white, and it was so cool. I just absolutely loved it. So that's when I thought, hey, maybe I can put it on a box, and I did, and it was over from then. That's what started it all. Thank you so much. You guys are great. I promise you. Love and light. All right, are we, like, what time is it? It's 2, 1, 11:55, 1:55. So I went past my time. Y'all should have stopped me. I think. Am I not? 11:55, 12:55, 1:55. Yeah, I went past my time. 3 messages. I missed them. Visually interesting, love texture. Me too. I'm telling you, we are kindred spirits. I can't wait to check out your stuff. All right, you guys, so here's as far as I got so far on the seascape and the spackling paint party. I really want to see what you guys have done. I hope that you can send me some pictures, a video, post it, mention the paint party, and see if anybody else would be interested in maybe showing up. We're going to finish this. I'm hoping it won't be tomorrow because I get a dryer because the dryer blew up. So we have a brand new dryer coming. I'm telling you, we've been under attack, people. It's been squirrels. It's been everything. Anyway, so it won't be tomorrow, but it'll probably be the next day. So we'll get back on and we'll finish these boxes. It'll give us the time it takes to dry this spackling. All right, so gosh, you guys. Oh, Randall, thank you so much for everything you've done and for all the times you shared and talked me up. I appreciate it. Everyone check out Randall and his oil painting. He's amazing. Thank you. I'll receive those positive vibes, and that's okay because I'm in my little bubble. I go over those crashing waves and just bounce right back. That's my theory. My bubble of hope. Hope does not disappoint. So, okay, guys, love and light to everybody. Thank you so much for everything and hanging out with me, and I'll see you the next time. All right? Bye. Thanks, Shannon, for moderating, and Sherry, everybody. Bye.